Are you a redneck? Do you put the hill in hillbilly? If so, stick around. We've got a special edition attic library just for you. I'm actually in my attic right now, poking around looking for some old books. Came across this little guy, a blast from the past. Jeff Foxworthy's Redneck Dictionary II. I want you to consider something as we review this particular book, Jeff Foxworthy's Redneck Dictionary II. And that is, are you a redneck? Regardless of where you are in society, is there that part of you that yearns to break free and live as a country bumpkin? Now, some of us have to be honest about from whence we came. I was raised in the country. Many people I know were raised in the country, but at some point in life we moved to the suburbs, we moved to the city, we moved to town, but within us still is that inner redneck, still yearning to be free. So we have to all come to terms with our inner redneckedness. Don't know if my mother would like me using that term. A book like this poses a certain challenge in doing a review on it. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But first, a couple of things about Jeff Foxworthy. Very successful stand-up comedian. Made his big breakthrough back in the early 90s with the album You Might Be a Redneck If. And then after that came television series, books, that sort of thing. He's still out there active today. But a very successful comedian in his own right, not typically thought of as an author, but yet he does have several books. You can get this book, like a lot of them, on Amazon. You can pick it up today. Give it a read. Jeff Foxworthy's humor is clean, it's family friendly, but it's not particularly politically correct. And that's a good thing. People are going around today with their stinger out, just looking for something to tick them off. Well, humor is sort of one of the last bastions against political correctness. It's one of the remaining things that sometimes you can laugh at somebody about something without ticking somebody off. PC culture is essentially humorless. You can't joke about anything, you can't talk about anything, you can't laugh about certain things that might offend a particular group. Well, along come the comedians, and a good comedian is going to laugh at someone, to joke about someone. It's what they do. It's important to take a book like Redneck Dictionary II and read it every now and then. Yes, it makes you laugh, but it also reminds you of a time when we weren't so uptight about ourselves. I think back of when I was a kid, and we watched Sanford and Son every Friday night. We watched Archie Bunker. I remember when Blazing Saddles came to the theaters. Those things were very politically incorrect, but yet they made a statement. And one thing about a good comedian, they will turn the joke upon themselves. And I think Jeff Foxworthy does that very well. He really laughs at redneckedness. And he makes himself the brunt of the joke. A good comedian can make a point with a joke, but make the joke on him or herself. In this book, Redneck Dictionary II, Jeff Foxworthy takes normal everyday words in the English language and he gives them a totally different, hilarious redneck definition. You may take a word like rosewood, which is a type of tree. Not in this book. Rosewood becomes, well, you know, Charlotte's a good girl. She won't do that, but Rose would. And thus the challenge of reviewing a book like this. It's basically a book, 149 pages of stand-up comedy. One-liner right after the other. And I can't do Jeff Foxworthy justice. Not only that, but if you sit here and just read the jokes, then you get into copyright issues, and we don't want to do that. Another thing that really makes this book zip, or zap, whatever you want to call it, is that it contains a lot of cartoons. It contains cartoons that coincide with a joke. The cartoons are hilarious. They put me in the mind of Mad Magazine and Alfred E. Newman back in the day, those kind of drawings that really accent the jokes. But I can't, this is not a proper platform to show that. So it makes getting the type of humor that's inside the pages out to you very difficult. But just take my word for it. The book's funny. I grew up in the country, and this book just makes me laugh because Jeff Foxworthy really nails how some people talk and actually do use words in a different way. And he makes the joke on himself, and that's what good comedians do. Hang on for a moment. No YouTube video would be complete without a free giveaway, right? Well, in just a moment, I'm going to give you 3 big tips to boost your own redneck levels. Let's say you grew up in the heart of the city, but inwardly you wonder, is there still hope for me to be a redneck? Can I embrace my own redneckedness? And I say yes, and we'll give you those 3 tips in just a moment. I want to make a couple of observations about Jeff Foxworthy. He got married back in the mid-1980s. He and his wife have had a couple of kids. The kids have grown up now, and so he's in that empty nest time of life. But also, he leads a Bible study in Atlanta each week for homeless individuals. So that speaks to his character that, yes, he's had some success. Yes, he is a funny guy, but he also gives back to his community in a way that makes a difference. Redneck Dictionary II is not a work of art. It is not a literary classic, but it's a book, and books can cover all different genres. You can have books of history, books of science, and books of entertainment, books that make you laugh. Sometimes it's okay to read a silly book that just gives you a case of the giggles, and that's what this book does. Now for your 3 free tips on how you too can be a redneck. Tip number 1, nothing says I'm a redneck more than how we talk. So here is a big tip that if you're really struggling, if you want to start at like Redneck 101, here's where you start with how you speak. Take the long I sound in the English language. Now we normally say something like, it's a nice night to go outside, right? Well, take that long I sound and flatten it out. Instead of I, it's I. Sure is a nice night to go outside, ain't it? Throw in an ain't, that'll really make you sound dumb. But that long I sound flattened out like that will signify redneck more than anything. Tip number 2, get a musical instrument that screams country bumpkin. This is a dobro. Now, if you really want to go full redneck, get a banjo. I don't have a banjo. I happen to have this dobro, so it works out fine for the purposes of examples of how you too can be a redneck. Tip number 3, get a hound dog. This is my trusty black and tan mix Spice. She goes out in the backyard at night. She barks at possums. She chases squirrels. I mean, this face just screams, the guy's a redneck. Like most books, Redneck Dictionary II can be picked up on Amazon for $6 or $7. Give it a read. It'll give you a laugh. It will make you smile. It will brighten your day. Click the subscribe button below and go ahead and click the notification button as well, that little bell down there. That way you will get a notification each time I come out with a new review. We have one each week. I'm Rex Baker, and we'll see you next time.